Welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Dozen podcast. This one is late in the week, but we don't care. We need to pod. We're getting this one in. Today is October 29th, 2021. It is 10:30 in the morning. So we are coming to you bright and early. Happy birthday to Mr. Josh. He's 25 today. Welcome to the club. And I have with me today, he is the first person to be on here twice this season, manager of Run It Back. This is Rich Golly. Welcome back to the podcast, man. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good morning. Still riding high off the big Packers win last night. So excited to get my morning started off with you, my Friday morning.
Yeah, that's a great turn of events. Good Packers win on Thursday Night Football against an undefeated Cardinals team, and then we pod. So obviously this pod is for week 7, not week 8. So everything that happened yesterday will not necessarily be talked about, or we're going to look into the future, even though some things have happened, and we will not take into consideration maybe we will, maybe we won't. But also for the rankings themselves, those are for week 7. We are not taking into consideration what happened yesterday, but maybe for the matchups, Rich might have a little bit of an advantage to decide what the matchups are, because we need somebody to get better than 3 out of 6. Nobody's been good with that. Everyone's been pretty off. So
well, in fairness, I did my pick'em 6 before the games last night. So
okay, cool.
I'll be able to have my picks will be the same, but I'll be able to have a better feel of how the matchup's going to go this week.
Okay, nice. So let's just get started. So power rankings again. So we do power rankings, and then we put them in the categories, and we do some matchups. Rich tells us who his best versus dark horse managers are. Let's get to it. Number 1 on the power rankings this week. I think he's been there for about a month. It's pretty unanimous. Ante is number 1 in the power rankings. Again, there's really nothing besides the RB2. There's really nothing wrong with this team. It's probably one of the better. It's probably one of the better teams that we've seen. It's projected 141.7. It's one of the better teams we've seen in a long time. So,
that's incredible. I don't know. I'm sure you probably don't have this in your archives of stats, but I'd like to see what is the most somebody's been projected going into a week. To have 3 guys being projected over 20 points and one of them's not even your quarterback is pretty insane. So, this was a pretty easy choice for number 1. Just an absolute juggernaut everywhere. Even when he got hit with a potential injury bug with Miles Sanders, he has Gainwell there. So it's a good handcuff job for Ante there.
Gainwell actually is outscoring Miles Sanders this year. Gainwell is RB29 and Sanders is RB34.
Yeah, so this could end up playing into Ante's hand actually better than the first 6-7 weeks, because now he doesn't have to worry about really that much of a committee. I guess Boston Scott will probably get some carries, but I expect Gainwell to be the guy there. Kirk Cousins, I think, is a pretty underrated player this year. I liked him a lot. He used to be a bye week type quarterback for me, but now I think he could be locked in every week, especially just giving off to Jefferson and Thielen and Cook. There's really not much to say here. I think Ante has one of the big 3 steals in the draft this year with Mike Williams, which is probably why he's doing as well as he is, because usually your flex guy can tend to make or break your team sometimes. Not really break, but it can definitely push you to pushing for that championship like Ante will be. So, not much to say. Solid team, top to bottom, with a good bench, and it's just been rolling.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking at the team. I'm looking at the transaction counter right now, and I know you guys can see that. So I was curious to see the moves that Ante has made. So he's only lost twice, obviously. He hasn't made it. Him and Vinko are the only ones that haven't made a trade yet.
Wow.
And he's only had 9 acquisitions, which is second least to Vinko and Joe. And he's dropped 8 of them. So his team is pretty much the same as it was when he drafted them. The only difference is that he dropped Juju because he went on IR. Other than that, like his team's been pretty much the same, which also makes it like even more impressive. That he's been this good for this long, because it's mostly the team he's drafted.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, to an extent, not to be a Debbie Downer there, but I guess he hasn't really been hit with the injury bug. So, yeah, knock on wood that doesn't happen. But I don't know. That's just something I read into with the lack of acquisitions and stuff, which is good. I mean,
that's
keep
true.
it up for as long as you can.
Where is Ante on our board? On our categories board?
He's safely a championship contender.
I agree. Leading the league in scoring by, I think, 50 points. So number 2 in the power rankings this week. This was not a unanimous decision, but you could tell who overrode this decision. Chris Cataldo is number 2 in the power rankings again. It was tough. Last week was week 7, and there were a lot of like silly buys. So a lot of teams had a lot, like the Bills, the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Chargers. I know there were 3 other teams, but those off the bat are 4 teams that have a lot of fantasy impact, and they were all on by at the same time. So a lot of these teams played poorly, but it was a reflection on the fact that they didn't have anybody because they all had, whatever. So anyway, so Chris is number 2 in the power rankings again. I don't think he's moved in the last couple of weeks either. Again, I say it every week. His team is still my favorite team in the league. So what do we got? Let me pull it up. You could start talking while I pull up his team. Baltazar.
Yeah. So this is my matchup for this week. Yeah. Not really looking forward to it. I think Cataldo might be the second highest scoring team, if that's correct. I'm not.
He's the third highest scoring team.
The third, okay. But yeah, another one that I think he's aided a little bit. Not aided, more like good drafting with Leonard Fournette. That guy's been a revelation this year. Going into the season, nobody knew if it was going to be Rojo or going to be him, and he's clearly taken over that backfield. So that's been huge for Cataldo, especially if he's looking at his lineup now. Oh, he has Kareem on IR, so that would be his normal RB2. But yeah, I mean, another team top to bottom solid with the 2 young receivers, DK and Jefferson. DK obviously has been affected by the Geno Smith quarterback move. He salvaged his day last week with an 84-yard touchdown, but other than that, Geno's kind of been tough for Lockett and DK. But I think Russell Wilson should be coming back, I think week 10 maybe at the earliest. So a couple weeks away, which makes it even more impressive that Cataldo is scoring a ridiculous amount of points every week with a wide receiver who doesn't have a very stable quarterback situation there. Rodgers, obviously, Packers fan. Love him. Derrick Henry, can't say enough about him. I had both those guys on my team last year, and DK actually. So this is very similar to.
And you won last year. You had Leonard Fournette last year. I traded you Leonard Fournette. So you had Fournette, Henry, Metcalf, and Rodgers last year, and you won the entire thing. Now he has them, and he's second in the league in scoring. The team that he's starting right now is averaging 143.5 a game, and he still has Kareem Hunt on IR. If Kareem Hunt wasn't on IR, he'd have 3 top 10 running backs.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I mean, based off of my team last year, this looks like it's built from the same recipe. So for Cataldo's sake, he's probably hoping that it ends up the same way that it did for me last year. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put him above Ante right now because Ante's flex is just way superior. But without Juju, Chase, who knows what he'll do? I mean, he's wide receiver 48 right now, coming off a bye last week. So there should be added looks for him. And then, yeah, I mean, that's not even a weak part of his team, but it's the weakest part of his team at this point. So I don't think, with that being said, I don't think that he needs to make any moves to really upgrade that. I think it's just something to kind of watch for and see maybe if he can get a little bit more depth on his bench. But other than that, yeah, another team that you don't really want to face every week. I'm kind of aided that Rodgers only got a little under 16 last night. But who knows? I'm sure Henry will crush my hopes and dreams like he has been doing all year.
Yeah. What's interesting about Ante's team is that he has superior wide receivers to everybody else, and that makes him the best team in the league. He also has Najee, but that makes him the best team in the league. But again, I think people would agree that his RB2, I mean, now we're nitpicking a nearly perfect team, but Ante's RB2 could be better. We could argue that Chris, even though Ante's team is better, Chris's team has less holes than Ante's team does. Even without, if you take away injuries, you throw Juju back on Ante's team, you throw Kareem Hunt back on Cataldo's team. I think I would, I don't know. I think he would have what, Mike Williams and Juju, and then there's Fournette and Claypool. It's actually kind of the same. Oh, but he has Hunt, and Hunt's a better running back than Miles Sanders. So
and that's what I was going to say. If we were going to look at the flex too, I'd rather play Hunt over Juju in my flex. So yeah, that's kind of another way to look at it.
So again, that's why I think it's my favorite team. I really don't think it has any holes whatsoever. And
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I'm really rooting for Cataldo. Even though maybe I'm not allowed to, but I am. Where do we have Sea Cats?
Championship contender.
I agree. That would be fun to have Chris win. That would mean the good guys won. The good guy won a good guy won last year. A good guy won the year before that. So a lot of villains in the league, but usually the good guys come out on top. So we'll see. Number 3 in the power rankings. He's the birthday boy, but maybe he's not a good guy. He would be one of the villains to win the league. This is Josh. Josh is number 3 in the power rankings this week. He had a rough week last week, but obviously that's because his entire team was on bye. So we'll cut him some slack there. He was not affected by that. So he's still at number 3. He made a massive trade yesterday. So actually we have some content to talk about that we wouldn't have talked about if we potted yesterday. So we know what his team looks like. We know what his team is. He has great wide receivers that are a little underperforming. He has insane running backs. He has a lot of depth. His tight end is sick. So we get that. Talk about the trade. What went down yesterday? What do you think? So the trade was, I'll pull up right here. Trade was Robert Woods, Nyheim Hines, Seahawks defense, and Darren Waller. That's what he received from Grant. And Grant received from him Emmanuel Sanders, Javonte Williams, Allen Robinson II, and Steelers defense. What do we think about this?
I think it's pretty surprising. I know Grant has been trying to sell Darren Waller for at least the past 2 weeks, which
5 weeks
has been. It is surprising just knowing the amount of targets and what he did week 1. What's kind of happened to Darren Waller? I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he's still a top 3 tight end in the league, but it's it's strange. I don't really know what the Raiders are doing because, I mean, at least from my perspective, like I mean, Hunter and Renfro is fine, Ruggs is fine, but there's no alpha guy there besides Waller, so I don't really know what's going on there. And I also know how much Grant values Robert Woods, even though he's been disappointing a little bit this year as well. But to give away those 2 guys and then to not really get like a key piece back was a little strange to me. Allen Robinson, drafted as at worst a wide receiver 2, has been extremely disappointing this year. I'm sure Grant is probably hoping that he can turn it around and get a little bit of chemistry with Justin Fields. Javonte Williams I actually like a lot. I think he has the easiest running back schedule for the rest of the season. So there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be good. It's just more comes down to if Vic Fangio actually plays him over Melvin Gordon. That's the only thing that's holding back Williams, because I think Williams is going to be a great back, and I think he's easily a running back too once he's given that opportunity. He could even be, with the schedule, he could even be an RB1. But I just thought, and then Manny Sanders having a pretty good year. He has a nice matchup this week. Josh didn't need him because he has Diggs, so you don't really want 2 receivers on the same team. But like I said, to kind of replace Woods with Manny Sanders was a little strange to me, even though they're probably having pretty similar statistical years this year. But we'll see how it plays out. I guess long story short, I think Josh won the deal, but we'll see. Who knows? If Allen Robinson can be what he's supposed to be, then and Manny Sanders kind of keeps up his production, then giving up Woods for those two guys isn't bad. And then Waller, I mean, he was a little bit expendable for Grant because he has Kelsey, but good on Josh. I mean, especially with Tunyon's injury last night. I don't know if it's an ACL or not, but he'll have Waller to fill in there next week or however long Tunyon's out, as well as Dawson Knox, and Mark Andrews. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Josh
move somebody,
move one of those tight ends as well. Yeah, but yeah, interesting deal. I guess Grant felt like he needed to make a deal, and he did, and we'll see how it plays out.
I think it made I don't think it made Josh's team significantly better necessarily. It made Josh's team, it put Josh in a position that he can now he has leverage to get exactly what he wants from wherever he wants. Like, again, like,
well, I don't even know if I agree with that, because like, if you think about the guys that Josh traded, and I'm forgetting the third piece, but he hasn't played Javonte Williams all year. He hasn't played, I don't think he's really played Manny Sanders all year. And I know there's a defense in there, but I forget the
Steelers. He gave away Javonte Williams, who he only started on a bye week.
Oh, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah, he gave away Emmanuel
Sanders. He doesn't play him either.
He used to play Allen Robinson, then started to play Emmanuel Sanders. And Steelers defense is still, like, it's good personnel, but their defense number 17 or 18 in fantasy.
So I guess what I'm saying is essentially he gave up a rotating flex position between Sanders and AR for probably a wide receiver 2 in Robert Woods, but at worst a high flex, and then a top 3 tight end. So I think Josh's team did get significantly better for what he gave up.
Yes, my point was his team didn't get significantly better in terms of his actual starting lineup, because like, I think he would start Andrews over Waller, where now he has, I guess his flexes could be Waller or Woods, and they're better than AR or Sanders. But what I'm saying is it set Josh up in such a good position to make a monster move where he can now flip Waller and Woods. Like, he sent like a bunch of quarters for $2.50, and now he could take these $2.50 of Waller and Woods and now ship them off for something better. Like, for example, like, he could take, I'm just shooting the shit here, but he could essentially take like a Robert Woods and a Darren Waller and trade them to Keenan for a DeAndre Hopkins. And that's not a bad trade. That's not a bad trade for Keenan to make. Like, especially considering like Keenan has Zach Ertz and he has a million Cardinals players. Like, maybe he would want some diversity or something like that. And
absolutely,
with the way they're, I don't know, like, obviously, like, people might agree or disagree, but I'm just giving an example, first one off my head. And then boom, Josh's wide receivers now become Diggs, Cooper, Mark Andrews, and DeAndre Hopkins. That's what he set himself up for.
No, I agree.
So that's what I think is going to be pretty crazy. So we'll see what Josh's next move is. What was I going to say? In terms of on Grant's side, the only thing I have to say is that everybody, I think at least everybody in the league, or maybe at least 8 people in the league, at least 8, maybe everybody in the league has at least received one offer involving Darren Waller in that deal. Have you ever received one? And Nyheim Hines. Have you ever received an offer with Waller and Nyheim Hines in it? Yes.
So I mean, Grant and I have been kind of going back and forth, trying to get something done, but it didn't happen.
Same here. I've been dealing with it for 5 weeks. The only thing I'll say is, for what he's been, and obviously I don't know what he's been asking everybody else, but at least from me, from what he's been asking for compared to what he ended up with, I think are two very different things. And it's, I don't know, for somebody that really wanted Waller, it's just frustrating because
I mean, I'll give Grant credit. All of our deals were very fair, and honestly, transparently very close to getting done. It's just a little hesitation on either of our sides, and that just caused it to not happen. But I mean, I got pretty good deals, so I can't complain with that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just think if he likes what he got, and he likes what he got, and it's his team, and he's the manager, and he does what he feels, and that's quite all right. I'm just saying that I think for the last couple of weeks, he's been asking for a lot more than what he ended up getting. So, not to say that it was good or bad, but that's just what I feel. Where do we have Josh?
Championship contender.
Nice. I could agree to that. After that trade, I could agree to that, because again, I think he's going to make one more sneaky move before this is all over. Number 4 in the power rankings this week is Vinko. Vinko's team kind of confuses me because he wins. Where is he in the standings? Oh, he's 4th. He wins and he scores a lot, but the team, like, it looks ugly every week. And I'm just, when I look at the team, like, I'm amazed that it's 4-3. But then when you look at the numbers, you're just like, okay, like, I can see how it's 4-3. I don't know. Vinko's team is one of these teams that just finds ways to win all the time.
And a win is a win. So
and that's what you need. You just need to win.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, he is a really good team. I talked about the big 3 steals in the draft this year, and Mike Williams being one of them, but Jamar Chase is probably the number one steal in the draft this year. A guy that everyone stayed away from because of the rumors that he couldn't catch the ball in the preseason. He was couldn't see the ball as well because there weren't the white lines on it like they had in college. So all those stories kind of killed his draft ADP, and Vinko took advantage of it. Whether it fell to him or he actually wanted him, I don't really know. But either way, he's wide receiver 3 right now. So pretty incredible, and which is good because AJ Brown hasn't been good this year, besides the last 2 weeks. So like, he kind of needs somebody to fill in while AJ Brown was still kind of finding his footing and getting healthy and stuff like that. So it's really funny to look at Vinko's receivers and see CeeDee Lamb in there as well, like 3 guys that are 21, 22 years old. Like, he has
the young bulls.
Probably the three best young receivers in the league besides Jefferson and DK. So if this was a dynasty team, I think Vinko would probably win every single year.
That's what I said. That's what we said on draft night. I said this is a sick dynasty team, but 1 year fantasy, I'm not entirely sure where Marco was right, where Marco was wrong.
Well, it's working out so far. And then you hear about those receivers and they're all studs, and then you look at his team and he has Josh Allen, top 5 quarterback in the league, and he has Christian McCaffrey too, who's, I know, hurt, and I don't really know when he comes back. It probably has to be pretty soon, but either way, another good handcuff job there getting Chuba. I don't really know Chuba's stats this year. I feel like he hasn't been popping off the page, so he's definitely a serviceable, usable running back, especially in an offense that values the running back so much.
I think he's been RB2 status.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that makes sense.
Which is a drop off, obviously, but
yeah, but
what are you gonna do?
Not terrible. So yeah, I mean, another team that is solid. I believe he also starts Myles Gaskin too, right?
Yes, he does. He has to, because now Damian Williams is out or kind of useless, and he has to start Gaskin.
Oh yeah.
It's just his RB2.
Yeah, he's kind of an enigma to me. He had that one game where he had 10 catches, and then sometimes it seems like he's in the doghouse. But I think he's been pretty solid the past couple of weeks, which has probably helped maybe push Vinko over the hill in some of his matchups. So yeah, another good team. Another team I could see going far this year. And yeah, I don't even think he has to really make any moves at this time to kind of bolster his team. I think he's pretty solid with his with his lineup he has now.
I think the only thing he can do, I think the only thing he should do is try to get an RB2, and he has a slew of wide receivers that he can make that happen. So depending on the quality of running back that he wants, he has the wide receivers to make the move. So
yeah, that's fair.
Other than that, I think he's fine. So I don't know if you can see my screen right now, but I'm looking at the draft. If you look at round 6, he drafted him. So this makes me feel good because I always look at like what players go off and throughout the season. I'm like, wow, could I have drafted them? And the good news for me is that Vinko was drafted first and I drafted last. We were on opposite ends of the snake. So any pick that Vinko took, I more than likely A, would not have taken the round before, or B, had no chance to take the round after. So, and vice versa. Like, I have Godwin on my team. There's no shot he would have been able to get Godwin just by the way the order was, by the way the ADP was. But if you look here, the last pick of round 6, he took Jamar Chase, and then he took Corey Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at like 6th round, end of 6th round, beginning of 7th round, where we took Jamar Chase. And what I really love to see, like not love, but what is really interesting to see is the pick right before him.
Wow, yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. was drafted the pick before by Scantlebury, and then Vinko took Jamar Chase.
Wow.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that's wild. Wow.
We didn't get to do it last year. We just didn't, DJ and I just didn't have the opportunity to, and then I got too late where it didn't really matter anymore. But I really want to do a draft recap at pod at the end of the season, because I think this is the most interesting thing about fantasy. It's where did people draft guys, and where, like, see, like Chase Edmonds was taken. I took Mike Davis and Chase Edmonds was taken 2 picks later. Like, I probably should have taken Chase Edmonds or something. Like, I don't know. It's just like stuff like that. It's just really interesting to look at. Like,
I'm looking at round 7, and I took LaVisca the pick before Antonio Brown. That would have been a nice swap there. Yeah.
Or what about here, where I took Curtis Samuel and Marquise Brown, and then Mike Williams is taken right after. Imagine I took Marquise Brown and Mike Williams instead of Curtis Samuel. Like, I think my team probably would have been, absolutely unreal. But just stuff like that is really interesting to look at. So that's why I was looking. I just wanted to see, because we said he was a steal of the draft. And if you look at the other steal of the draft, we'll bring up as a good segue. If you look at the other steal of the draft, if you look at the middle of round 8, Deebo Samuel gets taken.
Yep.
You took Jamal Williams, your handcuff, and then the next pick was Deebo Samuel. DJ took Michael Thomas, who hasn't even played yet. 2 picks later, Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, it's the way the cookie crumbles.
It's the way the cookie crumbles. Leading up into that, oh, actually, we have to put Vinko somewhere first.
Yeah.
Where's Vinko?
I think right now he's on the cusp. I think if he does, to your point, if he improves that running back 2 position, I think he's a championship contender.
He's got to get CMC back first too, as well.
Well, that's also true. Yeah.
So segueing into the other best pick of the draft is number 5 of the power rankings, Joe Nichols. Welcome to the top 5, baby. No longer a bottom feeder. We're putting some respect on your name. So Joe is number 5 in those power rankings. Again, he has the other steal of the draft in Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is wide receiver 5, I believe, which is nuts. Like, that's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, with having a bye week too. So like you said, the 3rd out of 3 steals of the draft this year. Deebo Samuel has been unreal. I mean, look at his target number too.
Oh wait, I didn't see. Let me go back to that.
Wait.
What are we looking at? 12, 8, 10, 13, 9, and 11. He's probably averaging like 10 targets a game.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. Insane. Yeah, which is great. I mean, he was great to begin the season, but I think it's kind of compiled too with Ayuk, I don't know, being in the doghouse / not living up to what they thought he was, and then Kittle being out. But either way, points are points, so he's killing it. It's really funny actually looking at Joe's team. It's crazy to say this, but probably the most disappointing part of his team is Patrick Mahomes, which is something I don't think anyone would have expected.
And yet he's still a top 5 quarterback, averaging 23 a game.
Yeah, so maybe I guess he's probably more disappointing from a real life football perspective than he actually is from
his his first 4 weeks were really good.
Yeah.
Then he had against Buffalo, which is understandable, but still 19 points against Buffalo is really not that bad. Then another good week against Washington. So Tennessee was his first actually really bad week. Otherwise, he's been really good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the 19 points too, from Patrick Mahomes, that's pretty, I don't know, not Patrick Mahomes-esque, but either way, Joe's team's constructed pretty well, actually. Cordell Patterson is, I don't know if he was even drafted, if he was picked up. Probably picked up, but yeah, so that's probably contender for the best waiver wire pickup of the year, kind of like a James Robinson situation last year. But Jonathan Taylor's been a stud. That guy is, I think, getting himself into the maybe, I don't know, top 5 sounds a little high for running backs, but definitely a top 7 running back in the league. Cordell Patterson's a solid RB2, especially considering Gibson's been a little disappointing / obviously hurt. Wide receiver 2 is a clear hole here, which I know Joe is probably trying to hope to fill with Michael Thomas if he eventually comes back, which who knows when that'll happen. But yeah, I mean, I think Joe's team is obviously built around Mahomes and then his starting running backs. Flex is a little weak right now. I have Gibson in my other league, so I'm kind of hoping that he picks it up. But wide receiver 2 is an issue, and tight end Gesicki's been great. Tua loves him, and yeah, I mean, Joe's team is good. I think that he has kind of more boom or bust potential than a lot of teams in the league, but I think he has to make a couple moves to really cement himself, to really push for the championship.
It's funny. Gesicki had a goose egg, and I think since then he's probably been tight end 2, and he's tight end 3, maybe even tight end 1 since he had that goose egg. If you look at I know Joe's going to want me to point this out, but if you look at the lineup that he set this week, QB 5, RB 4, RB 8, wide receiver 5, tight end 3, defense 3, kicker 5, and then running back 17 as his flex.
Yeah.
We know Odell Beckham is wide receiver 75, but he still has Kenny Galladay. He still has Devontae Parker. He's got Michael Thomas waiting in the shadows. Tim Patrick hasn't been that bad. So he has options that he could put there based on matchups and who's available for wide receiver 2 until the return of Michael Thomas potentially. And then once Michael Thomas gets slotted in there, and if he even is half of what he was 2 years ago, this team might be pretty tough to beat. The funny thing is, and I'll still contend to this, I think the team is ugly. like personnel wise, it looks ugly. But ugly doesn't matter when you're still putting up points. So
yeah.
His team is average. The team in the lineup that he's set right now with Odell Beckham in there, still averaging 134 a game. So, and that should get you a win most weeks. So, ugly or not, pal, team's doing well, and you're finally out of the 9 spot. So, congratulations.
Yep.
Where do we have Joe?
I don't know. It's kind of a tough call because, like you said, the look of the team would tell me middle of the road, but the performance of the team tells me that he could be on the cusp.
So then we'll just put him as a bottom feeder.
Now let's do middle of the road until Michael Thomas comes back and we can see what he does. I
could agree to that. I think he's more on the cusp than middle of the road, but I could agree to leave him on the middle of the road. I need one more solid week from my pal.
Yeah. I agree with that.
To round out the top 6 are Los Busters. Los Busters. Oh, what did I just do?
Bounce back Busters.
The bounce back Busters. I want to escape this view. I'm at number 6. I was at number 11 last week, so, and I put myself 6. Oh, I put myself 6, and so did Rich. So this was unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I think the previous times I've been on the podcast, I don't think I've put you higher than 10th. So welcome to the top of the table here, or
Thanks,
the
man.
top half of the table, I should say.
Well, thanks, man. So, I mean, the team I have in this week is only averaging 119.15, but that's because Mr. Devontae Adams decides to get COVID, which is fine. Wow, Packers are now. Well, I mean, never mind. What do we think about the Busters? I mean,
I like the Busters. I think you have a solid squad, top to bottom, including the bench. CJ Uzoma's been pretty good. I think his numbers are a little inflated by having 3 catches and 2 touchdowns last week. But I think your team actually is a little bit boomer bust as well, because of Brandon Cooks, because of Chris Godwin. Brady's been awesome. I mean, Brady's just been absolutely rock solid. The only time he loses points is when Fournette rushes it in. But other than that, you can tell that they're trying to get him an MVP again this year. Just the amount of times that they throw the ball on the goal line and stuff like that. Obviously, a big issue with your team is your running back injuries. Monty, CEH, and then even Chubb too. So you need those guys to get healthy. We'll see if Chubb plays this week. And then also, obviously, Devontae being out. But with a healthy Devontae, I think this is a really solid squad. I think starting Randall Cobb was a nice play last night. He had a CJ Uzomah line with 3 catches for 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, another solid team. Dalton Schultz was a great pickup. That guy, he surprised me. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a Blake Jarwin year or Schultz, but he was a good pickup. Did you trade a tight end as well before you picked up Schultz?
Yeah, I gave away Noah Fant.
Oh, okay.
So I actually picked up Dalton Schultz had a good game. I picked him up after it. Then he had a really bad game. Then I dropped him. Then he scored 26 points again. And then I picked him up and he's been on my team since. And he's been my starting tight end.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's definitely a starting tight end in the league this year. So, yeah, I like this team. I mean, I think you need to get healthier, obviously, which that goes without saying. But, and healthy, not even with your squad, but you need Tyrod Taylor to get healthy too, so that Brandon Cooks can kind of go back to what he was doing in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's my only issue. Like I think I said it, I said Ante's elite, but I think he needs work at running back too. I don't think Cataldo's missing anything. He just needs to get healthy. I think Vinko needs an RB2. For me, like if I'm looking at this team from an outside perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with my team. I think the only thing I need is for my running backs to get healthy, and then I'm golden. Everything else is just well balanced, where it's everything you want. You have a pure wide receiver one. I have a QB running back. I have a QB wide receiver stack. I have 2 crazy rushing running backs that do punch in at the goal line a lot. I have a boomer bust flex, good tight end. And my 2 defenses, like I've been paying matchups really well, actually. The Packers have been surprisingly good fantasy wise, like not amazing, but also not bad. And then I've just been playing matchups with 2 good defenses, so we'll see. But it's never an easy road for the Busters.
No, it's not. But you did kind of break the curse a little bit last week. I swore that you were going to lose that one. With Kamara, but I think he only had like 7 points in the whole second half on Monday. So. But you got the win. So maybe, who knows? Maybe the curse broken.
We'll see. I just need my guys to get healthy again. We'll see. Where do we have me?
You are right now, you're middle of the road. Once you get healthy, you're definitely on the cusp.
Also, after all these injuries and stuff like that, and all these like tight wins and losses, I'm actually still second in the league in scoring. So, I love that about my team. Second in the league in scoring. I only have 3 team of the week appearances, so that means that everybody's putting in work. And then I'm also second on the achievement spread on a plus 55, which is cool. Just a little toot my own horn there because it is my podcast.
Congrats.
Number 7 in the power rankings this week is Keenan. Keenan is at number 7.
Yeah.
I love Keenan's team, and I also hate it at the same time.
I think I know why.
Yeah, I love it and I hate it at the same time. It's getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan beat me last week. Put up 141 to my 130. So I was pretty happy with the performance of my team. Just unfortunate I had to play somebody that scored more than I did. But I think I know why you hate it. He's obviously stacked with Cardinals players, which up until last night was actually a good thing because of how good their offense has been. But it is kind of funny though, like he has so many options that he's kind of played a lot of the wrong options the past couple of weeks. Like I would have gotten smoked if he played Mike Evans last week. But it's interesting. I mean, he has 2 running backs that literally play almost the same amount of snaps.
Yeah.
And they both had good games last night. So even if he played Connor over Edmonds, like it's only a difference of about 2 points. So no error there, no issue there. D-Hop, pretty banged up. He could barely play last night. Ertz was a great pickup. I think the trade helped Ertz because he was kind of in no man's land in Philly. So I think that he's still kind of getting his footing. He had that huge touchdown last week, which kind of sunk me, but he had a couple of nice catches last night. And I think he'll just continue to get to know the playbook better and stuff like that. So I think he's in pretty good shape there. The Giants running backs, at this point, I don't really know if there's much of a difference between Booker and Saquon because Saquon just can't stay healthy. So having Booker, I think he'll have a good game Monday night against Kansas City. And DJ Moore, could you click on him? I feel like he's kind of dropped a little bit since his fast start.
Yeah, he has actually. He had 15 and a half, 21.9, 20 and a half, 32, and then he went 8.8, 10.9, 13.3. It's also because his quarterback has been significantly worse than he was the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, but you look at those target numbers too.
They're through the roof. It's just that means to have 5 catches on 13 targets and to have 6 catches on 10 targets, that means your quarterback sucks. That just means your quarterback sucks.
Darnold's completely gone back to his Jets ways, but I think that he just needs more consistency out of D-Hop and DJ Moore. But yeah, this team is a little bit worrisome. If the Cardinals do have a off game like they did last night, it kind of flattens you a little bit. Like he only has 37 points from 5 guys, so that's about 7 points a guy, a little bit more than that. So I don't know, and that's for your RB2, wide receiver 1, tight end, and defense kicker, whatever. But still, so up until this point, he's been riding the hot Cardinals. But if they do get to be the cold Cardinals, then it could be kind of tough sledding. So, like you said, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him move one of his Arizona guys.
Yeah. So what I was saying, I'll explain what I said, and it's exactly what you kind of mentioned. I love his team because I like the personnel, like top to bottom. I would like to have all of the, like, besides the Connor Chase Edmonds thing, like I would never be able to deal with having 2 running backs that play the exact same thing. Like Chubb and Hunt are different. I know what I'm getting from Chubb. I'm getting 22 carries, 100 yards on touchdown. Like I know that I'm getting them from Chubb, and I know Hunt is getting like 7 catches for 50 yards on touchdown. Like that's what I know is going to happen. So I'm okay with that. But like Chase Edmonds and James Conner play literally like the same position half the game. And I just would never know. Look, it's running back 15 and running back 16. Like I wouldn't know who to start there. That's annoying. Other than that, like I would love to have every single one of these players on his team. The thing that I don't like about it is that they're all on the same team.
Yeah.
So, again, like having starting 5 people from the same team. Like I said, I don't like starting 2 guys from the same team. I think I didn't draft Odell because Odell fell to me, and I didn't draft Odell because I already had Chubb, and I did not want 2 players from the same team. And I hated that I had to start David Johnson last week with also Cooks and just like stuff like that. And, I questioned when Josh starts Sanders and Diggs, and now he has Woods and Henderson. I don't like that. That's just how I feel. I only like stacks, and he's got everybody on that one team. So it is what it is. He's still doing really well. He's still scoring a lot. He's still 4-3.
He'll get Saquon back.
He'll get Saquon
Darius
back.
Toney was solid for that that one game, so we'll see if he can kind of keep that up. And then Sutton, who knows? I mean, if he gets on the same page with Teddy B again, then he could be another. I think he's a good trade piece, Sutton.
I would probably move, like we said, some of these Cardinals and figure out, and make a move from there. Where do we have Keenan?
Middle of the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a pure middle of the road team.
Yeah.
Number 8 on the power rankings this week is yourself. I had you 9. You had you 9.
I have myself 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and so did I, but we put you 8.
Right.
You know why? Because it's your podcast. Because you're the manager on the show, so we gave you the benefit of the doubt. So I will say that 6 through 9 was the hardest thing for us. We couldn't figure out between the 4 who were 6 through 9, and we kind of just went based on outlook for the rest of the season or just like personnel, recent scoring. It was hard for us. Also preference on Rich being on the pod. So
yeah. So I guess now's my opportunity to kind of defend myself a little bit.
Go for it.
I have to say, listening to the podcast is a lot less fun when you're not number 1 every week like I was last year. Yeah. But I'm super happy with my squad right now, to be honest with you. I think the squad I have now is better than the one that I drafted. I do have to say, I think the pod influenced me a little bit early in the year, with you guys talking about how weak my wide receiver 2 was. And I think that's kind of why that played into the idea of me trading Zeke, which, like I've said, like I still, if I could go back to the day, I would still do that deal. It obviously came back to bite me in the worst way, but I still stand by that decision to make that deal. Like I said in the group chat, I don't know, I guess a week ago, like, I don't know, I was getting a guy I knew was going to be a solid RB2, as well as a guy who was getting 10 targets a game. And I was giving up my first round pick, who at the time was splitting carries. So I don't hate the deal. I hate the way that it ended up, but bottom line is I'm happy with my team now. I kind of think I fixed my team well after Russell Wilson going down. That was a little bit of panic zone for me because unlike last year where I had Rodgers waiting in the wings, I didn't have anybody this year besides Trey Lance, who still hasn't gotten his opportunity. But I'm happy I got Dak. I'm happy I got T. Higgins. And I think top to bottom, my team is better now than it's been all season. Swift has been an absolute stud. Terry's been good getting the targets. T. Higgins, little slow start right now, but he had 15 targets last week, so I think he's going to pick it up. Sterling Shepard just needs to get healthy, and he's good for 10 targets a game. And then my bench, I mean, I have Alex Collins, so I can start whatever Seahawks running back is healthy. And then Rashad Bateman's been good. He's been picking it up a little bit, kind of getting his footing a little bit. And then hopefully one day we'll get some clarity on the Deshaun Watson situation. I know I've kind of been made fun of for holding him for so long, but either way, I think the misery will be over in a week for me, whether he gets traded or not. If he doesn't, then obviously I drop him. But if he does, then I might have a top 5 quarterback on my bench. So I like the squad. I hope Dak is healthy this week. But other than that, yeah, I feel pretty good about where I'm at.
So a good piece. So I have something nice to say and something not nice to say. So we just discussed Keenan's team having a lot of players on the same team, and I would be remiss not to mention that you have 2 Bengals players and 2 Lions players in the lineup at the same time. Again, it's not something I would do personally, but the thing is, like, this is like you're just looking for like the way Keenan can defend himself is like, listen, it doesn't matter. You're just looking for points. And the Cardinals were 7-0, and I'm 4-3, and I have a better record than you do, and I'm 4th in the standings. So clearly it works. And if it works, I'm gonna use it. It's the same thing with you. Mixon's running back 11. Swift is running back 3. Hawkinson has been a little bit worse off than he was earlier, but he's still tight end 4. And then, like you said, T. Higgins had 15 targets last week in an offense that clearly they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. So if they score fantasy points, it doesn't even matter. But again, it's still something that I think is a bit of a risk. So that's my negative thing.
It's a risk, but I mean, they're 2 different positions. So I don't know. I guess that's what it's not like I'm starting 2 wide receivers from the same. I don't know. But that's I see true. What you're saying.
The one really good thing that you just brought up that I didn't even realize is that you had Russell Wilson and he went down, and now you have Dak Prescott. Like that's very impressive to have Russell Wilson go down and you were able to replace him with Dak Prescott when you didn't even have him on your bench. So that's really impressive because Dak is a fantastic fantasy quarterback. So I will give you props for recovering that so quickly as you did. So props.
I actually went Russell to Jalen
Hurts,
to Dak, all in the matter of a half an hour, pretty much.
Which is, again, I still think it's impressive anyway. You got Young Wei Koo, so hopefully he's good.
Yeah, that's my bye week replacement.
Where do we have running back?
Championship contender. Middle of the road.
Yeah, I think you're middle of the road as well.
I mean, every single week, my guys, I have at least 5 guys with Qs next to them, so I need to also get healthy.
Yeah, if they hop off the Q train, then you can work towards being on the cusp.
Yeah.
Number 9 in the power rankings. Listen, this was not me. I'll admit it, this was not me. I actually had this, obviously it's Zach, but I had Zach originally like 6, then I dropped him down to 7, then I had him at 9, then I had him at 8, and we settled on 9. So Zach, I like your team way better than most people do, but Rich doesn't, and he's going to explain why.
Yeah, pulling it up now.
When I pull it up, he'll explain why. Here we go. Big Zach. Big Elf, 5.0.
Yeah, Zach was my week 1 opponent. Yeah,
Ooh,
so
he's got that Carson Wentz, Michael Pittman stack.
Yeah, he's got a stack there. Yeah,
that's funny. He's got a lot of guys on bye this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an interesting team to me. Obviously, Zach started out the season pretty poorly, but he's picked it up a lot lately. I don't know. I just look at his team, and Lamar's been good. I'm never really a big fan of him going into the year, but he's been good. Quarterback 4. Carson Wentz is a good bye week replacement, especially when you can pick up a quarterback that you have the number 1 wide receiver on the team as well. So that's a nice stack. I actually gave him Pittman as well as Russell Wilson. So he'll have Russell as well when he comes back healthy, and I'm sure he'll probably try to trade Lamar or Russell. And I don't know. I mean, I think running back 2 is obviously a hole right now. Jacobs on bye, plus kind of hurt. Plus, I don't know. I mean, the Raiders have been kind of weird with the running backs. Peyton Barber had that huge game.
He wants one of them to get hurt.
Game. I guess, yeah. Yeah, so right now, I mean, obviously Singletary isn't an ideal RB2 right now. Kamara had a nice game Monday night, but he hasn't even really been the Kamara that he was with Drew Brees. So I don't know. like you said, I'm not a huge fan of Zach's team, but we have the same record, so I can't really say any. Or actually, is he 4-3 or 3-4? I don't even remember.
He's 3-4. Yeah, he's 3-4.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so we have the same record, but I don't know. There's just no one here that really pops out to me besides Kamara, and like I said, and Lamar, but I don't know. Even Kamara hasn't been the top 3 running back that he usually is. So I don't know. I'll let you say some nice things about Zach's team.
I actually love the prospect of what Zach's team could be at its full strength. Lamar Jackson, Alvin Kamara, either Josh Jacobs or Kenyon Drake, whichever one is healthy, Adam Thielen, Marquise Brown, Noah Fant, Michael Pittman. I think that, and then he still has Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
He has. I think this team is easily the deepest team in the league. He has 16. He has. I mean, Baltimore defense, I wouldn't start because they've been really bad, but he has 17 guys on his team that he could start. Like Carson Wentz in a bigger league. I mean, besides Carson, so
how good would you feel about starting Tyler Boyd or Laviska or
not great, but like it's not an awful start. It's not an awful start. I mean, I wouldn't feel great about Laviska or Boyd, you're right. But those are better bench players than like me with like Darnell Mooney or Beasley or something like that. I don't know. Actually, I think Beasley's probably better than this.
Yeah. I would start Beasley.
Okay, so maybe he doesn't have 17, but he has, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, he has 11. 11
like,
positions.
Would you start Singletary too? Like
no, I didn't count Singletary. So I would start Kamara. Okay. I would do Kamara, Thielen, Pittman, Fant, Jarvis. I don't know. Okay, so maybe I take back what I said. Now that I think about it more. I just think at full strength. So you're looking at Lamar, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, or Kenyon Drake. Let's just do Josh Jacobs because he's a starter. So you're looking at Lamar, Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Adam Thielen, Hollywood Brown, Noah Fant, Antonio Brown, and then his kicker and defense. I think that's a solid team. I think it's more. I think it has a higher. I think it's like maybe like high middle of the road with like a boom potential of like 175. But
do you see the matchups he has this week? I don't know who he's playing, but there's a lot of green on that screen for Zach.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's really good to have on a bye week.
Yeah.
Who is he playing? He's playing Hotbox the Morgue. Oh, and Hotbox the Morgue only scored 37 with 5 players. So he might get got a good chance to get a win this week. With everybody on bye.
117 though. That's weird.
No, because he has most of his guys are only projected like 11.5.
Yeah.
9. His QB is only projected 17, usually 17.5. Usually QBs are projected 19 or. I don't know. I like what this team could be, but right now it's not what it is. So that's why we have him at 9. Where is he?
Middle of the road.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of middle of the road teams. Right now we have 3 championship contenders, 1 on the cusp, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 middle of the road teams.
I mean, but you look at the standings, like
everybody's middle of the road right now.
Everybody's either 4-3 or 3-4 besides Ante and DJ. So like kind of everyone is a little bit in the middle of the road. Yeah.
That's funny. 10th in the power rankings. I mean, it's Chris Scantlebury. Like I hate putting this team 10.
You don't like Scance's team, but I do. So
yeah, I don't like. His team is very similar to Zach's. Like I love what the team could be, but it just isn't right now. I think those are very accurate descriptions of those two teams. I love what they could be, but they aren't. But the difference between Zach's team and Scantlebury's team is that Zach's team, all they need is they all just need to be healthy at the same time. That's all Zach needs, because the guys individually, they have the output, and they've shown the output this season. Kamara in the last 2 weeks. Like, I could go down this list again, but every single one of those starters that he would have in his best 9 have all contributed significantly to their teams this season. And I can't say the same about Scantlebury's team. Like, you just can't. Keenan Allen hasn't missed a game yet. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
No, you're right.
Keenan Allen hasn't missed a game this year, and he hasn't missed a game this year, and he actually hasn't scored 20 points yet.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. But
I know he's had his bye, but he's had wide receiver 31.
Yeah.
Julio's at wide receiver 69, and I know he hasn't played a lot, but even when he is playing, like, they're giving him 10.5 points this week. That's saying that ESPN's saying that they think he stinks.
I mean, in fairness, I don't know what the expectations were for Julio. Like, he's not the Julio of 3 or 4 years ago anymore.
No, that's wide receiver 1 Julio. We were looking for wide receiver 2 Julio, and we're not even getting that. We're getting literally like waiver wire Julio.
Yeah, I'd say flex, high-end flex probably. I don't think waiver wire.
Well, because
of
his
his
name.
Wire,
Well, no, I know, because of his name and his talent. His name and his talent and his potential.
Yeah.
But if I'm saying, like, if you just look at these numbers, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's probably on waivers. Like, look at the numbers.
Yeah,
he's busted 3 of 5. He's averaging, like, I look at this. Yeah, this guy's probably on waivers. This is probably like KJ Osborne.
Yeah. If you take away that week 2 game, he's only averaging like 6 points a game.
I mean, I wouldn't take away his best game.
I know.
If you take away his best game, you have to take away his worst game. And then if you do that, then he's only averaging like 8 a game. But again, like, I look at that team and I look at this, and the thing that sucks is that he didn't even play against the Jets or the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
You look at this and I'm like, this is probably a guy on waivers. Sorry. I mean, maybe not KJ Osborne. I'm sorry. I know Grant's starting him this week, but and then you look up and you're like, oh my God, that's actually Julio Jones.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. If you told me to put Scant's team head to head with Zach's team right now, I'd take Scant's probably at least 9 times out of 10. I mean,
okay.
He has two top 5 running backs. Dalvin Cook obviously hasn't really been able to kind of stay healthy this year. Herbie is a beast. I think he'll eventually start clicking with Keenan Allen. When we talked about Julio, he's definitely been disappointing. Damian Harris has been awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a great move for him.
So he's a great flex and then a great bye week guy. I think actually both his players were on bye last week, so he's good for running back for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
He has Michael Gallup coming back, who can take Julio's spot. Robbie Anderson, I don't know what's going on with him, but I guess Darnold hates him, which is weird because of their history from the Jets. But I don't know. I mean, Scantz's team, even if his record was worse, well, I guess everyone kind of has the same record, but even if he was 2-5, I still wouldn't want to play this team.
Really?
And I don't know, maybe I'm just high. I guess I'm just high on these guys, but
let's do it.
I think that these guys could boom every single week. Really.
I think so too. I 100% agree with you, which is why I hate putting him this low. But again, if you look, I want to go to the standings.
No, I want to go to have their bye.
Yeah, the Chargers had their bye last week.
Oh, so Scant's like, it's pretty much his big players already had their bye, so he's
set. Yeah, he's set. But I would have
which also may contribute to why he's only 3-4. I know Keenan Allen hasn't done what he's usually done, but
look at the numbers though. This is why he's 10th. Because of the team that 112, 116,
96.
127 is a good week.
Yeah.
142 is a good week. So he's had, out of 7 weeks in the season, I know he had the whole bye thing here, but out of 7 weeks, he's had two good ones, 5 bad ones. I think if you score under 125, it's a bad week, especially if you have a team that he has. And I think he's considered. Like at first, I was putting him high in the power rankings because I was like, like he'll get there, he'll get there. But I keep doing this podcast, and I'm just like, when is this team going to score the amount of points that it should be scoring? I think if he loses to Josh this week, I mean, it's a problem. So let's do it. You said if you want it, let's put Zach, because I think Zach's team is better than this one, and you think this one's better than Zach's. And since you're on the pod, we put Zach above Chris Scannelberry. Actually, I had Scannelberry 10 as well, but I had Zach much higher than you did. You actually had Zach 10. So
I had Zach 10. I had Scant 8. I actually had Scant above myself.
Let's do it. So completely fully healthy. Justin Herbert, just fully healthy. The way they've been playing this season. Forget about like talent. I'm talking about fantasy wise. I'm not talking about who would you rather have to start your actual football team to go out there and play fantasy. Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson?
Herbert.
Really? The way Herbert's been playing this year compared to the way Lamar Jackson's been playing?
Yeah.
You're what? Really? He had one game where he dropped 42, and then he had Kansas City. He crushed it, but really?
I thought you were going to do, I didn't know we were doing it like this. I thought you were going to do rest of season, see whose teams like score more head to head, like just matchup wise.
Who would you rather have in your fantasy starting lineup on like a best week with a best matchup, just perfect scenario? Who would you rather have based, and your information as your decision is based on their fantasy output this season and an outlook for the rest of the season? One more time. Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson?
I'd still have Herbert.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. I would take Lamar Jackson.
Lamar as a passer does not scare me at all.
Lamar is a fantasy player. It scares me a shit ton.
Yeah, but all you have to do is game plan for his running, and you could relatively keep him under wraps.
Okay, fine, fair enough. Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara?
Kamara, because Cook can't stay healthy.
I would say Kamara as well. Zeke or Josh Jacobs?
Zeke.
That's not even close. I would also pick Zeke. Keenan Allen or Adam Thielen?
I would go Keenan Allen, but I know he's disappointing this year.
Damn, have you seen the Adam Thielen's numbers this year? What's going on? Okay, fine. You're picking Keenan Allen over Adam Thielen. That's crazy. Julio Jones over his wide receiver 2 would probably be Antonio. No, it would probably be Antonio Brown.
I'd take
or Marquise Brown
or Michael Pittman over Julio Jones. I'd take whoever's going against Julio. I would take the other guy. Okay.
Hunter Henry or Noah Fant?
Fant.
Okay. So then their flex is Damian Harris. So let's put Antonio Brown against Julio Jones, because those two are about the same kind of wide receivers. They were elite 5 years ago. They're older now. They're like out of their prime, whatever. So I would pick Antonio Brown over Julio. I'd pick Fant over Hunter Henry. Damian Harris or Marquise Brown?
That's tough. It's not really apples to apples. But in a good matchup for both the guys, I think you have to go with the guy who's guaranteed touches. Like, you don't know how much Hollywood's going to catch. You know that Damian's going to get at least 15 carries. Okay,
Damian Harris over Hollywood. Damian running back 18 over wide receiver 6 for Rich. Cowboys. Yep. Cowboys over 49ers. I don't know who his main defense is. I would pick the Cowboys.
Do we even have to do defense or kickers?
I guess not, but let's do the kickers. Nick Folk over Brandon McManus. So the defenses don't count because they change. Nick Folk over Brandon McManus.
Nick Folk.
I would do Nick Folk. So you have 5-3 on Scannelberry over Zach, and I think I would have like 5-3 over Zach.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Agree to disagree. Scannelberry at 10. Where do we have him?
middle of the road.
I agree. I think he's close to being a bottom feeder, but the thing that doesn't make him a bottom feeder is that he still has like elite ass players.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to do what they're supposed to do. Okay. That was a long time. Number 11 in the power rankings is DJ. I had DJ 11. Rich had Grant 11, which means that he had DJ 12 and I had Grant 12. I just like DJ's outlook better than Grant's, and we agreed on that, so we put DJ 11. I think
but I also gave Grant the benefit of the doubt for winning last week while DJ lost. So
yeah,
that was just what kind of influenced my decision as well. No, DJ's on the bottom on the left.
He changed his name, so I couldn't find him. Oh, DJ also would have lost to Grant last week as well. Huh. Okay, so I think this team has been riddled with injuries.
Yeah.
But I think fully healthy, this team could be a top 5 team in the league.
Yeah, it could. I agree with that.
Get him Kittle back.
Like
slot Kittle in that lineup.
That's
where's
a nice team.
Slot Kittle in that lineup? Where's the hole?
Yeah, there isn't.
There is
really
none.
there.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. What say you?
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know how his record is only 2-5 with this team. I mean, I guess, like you said, injuries and Ridley taking that time off as well. But I don't know. I mean, but you look at this team, but then you look at how they're performing this year. Like Ridley is only wide receiver 42. I know he's missed 2 weeks for the bye and the mental health day off or whatever. Jones, I think he's pretty much only had some like boom or bust games. I don't know how consistent he's been. Kyler's been great, besides last night. James Robinson's awesome. I like him a lot.
I'm pissed I couldn't get him.
Deontay's been great. Yeah, Jones it's been very boom or bust. Actually, more bust than boom, really. He has 3 huge games and a lot of kind of mediocre games.
I would be happy with 1, 2, 3. I would be happy with 4 out of those 8 games. So literally half of them.
Yeah. Deontay's been getting a ton of looks, which will probably only increase with Juju being out. Ridley has been getting the looks, but hasn't really been getting the production. I assume that's probably because he's just getting number 1 coverage every week. But maybe the emergence of Pitts will kind of deflect a little bit of the targets, or not the targets, the coverage to him. Judy hasn't really been healthy this year, but when healthy, he's the number 1 in that offense. And then, yeah, like you said, I mean, get Kittle back, and this lineup is pretty nasty.
That's why I don't think I would have him 12th. I don't know. Again, I have nothing bad to say about this team other than the fact that it just hasn't been healthy enough for him to contribute to getting wins. And then also he's had a couple of tough losses. I think he's had two of the smallest margins of defeat. So it kind of sucks. There's not much you can say bad or good about this. Like, the teams that he's been putting out every week aren't the teams that he wants. So it's hard to gauge his team. Where do we have DJ? I mean, he's 2-5. He's the only 2-5 team in the league. So right now he has sole possession of last place. If the season ended today, my man would be walking in clogs. But it's just crazy.
Yeah, with that being said, I think for now he's a bottom feeder, but we all know it's weird to see DJ on the bottom of the standings right now, and I think none of us will be surprised to see him make a run very soon. So I don't expect him to be down there for long.
I think if he doesn't make the playoffs, he's 1 game out. like he'll end up being like the odd man out. He'll probably finish. I think he'll finish
probably
7th seed if he doesn't make the playoffs. But to be honest, at 2-5, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up rallying and makes the playoffs. We do have one extra week, so
Yeah, that's true.
and then obviously, Grant is number 12 again for I think maybe like a month straight now.
Yeah,
he finally, again, we spoke about it at length earlier. We finally shipped off Waller. He disgraced the namesake. I would like him to change his name because he didn't give me Waller.
But yeah, I mean, the last time I was on the pod was the post-draft pod, and I was very interested to see how the no running back strategy worked out. I think, unfortunately, it's safe to say that it has not worked out. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We already touched on the trade. I don't really think he got a great return for giving away what should be a top, at the very minimum, a top 5 tight end, and I don't know, a pretty solid wide receiver too, even if he's not performing like we kind of expected him to. His running back situation is looking a little bit better than it had for most of the season. And I think if and when Javonte gets the full reign of those carries in Denver, I think that he'll be easily a running back 2, could be even, I think he might actually push to be a running back 1. Elijah Mitchell is interesting. He had a great game in the rain Sunday night. But with Jeff Wilson coming back pretty soon, as well as Hasty healthy, and who knows, Shanahan's weird game plan with sometimes playing Trey Sermon and stuff like that. Elijah Mitchell is a little bit of a question mark, but I do think that he is the main guy in that backfield. So overall, I think our team is looking more balanced. And then Jalen Hurts, obviously I made the trade with him, trading Hurts for Dak. So he's been good, quarterback 3 this year. And somebody that you can kind of rely on. Like, it doesn't really matter how he's been performing the whole game. In the fourth quarter, you know he'll somehow get up to 20 points. So we'll see how the rest of the year plays out, especially post-trade. But right now, I don't know. There's a lot of unknown here.
Your team fully healthy against this team fully healthy. Besides Travis Kelce, because obviously you would start Kelce over Hawkinson, would you start any of these players over any of the players in your strongest possible lineup?
If Tyler Lockett had Russell Wilson back, I would. I'd probably start him over maybe T. Higgins, maybe Shep if Shep's still kind of banged up. But other than
perfectly healthy. Everybody has a quarterback. Ever just perfect situations. Would you start any of these players over?
I'd probably start Lockett over Higgins. Yeah. Or Lockett over Shep. I don't know. Depends on the matchup, I guess. But I'd start Lockett. Even though historically I'm actually not a huge fan of Tyler Lockett, but I think he is better skill-wise and talent-wise than Higgins or Shep.
I mean, I know this doesn't mean much, but besides Kelce, I wouldn't start anybody else on it. Like I would rather start whoever I have on my team. So if we're doing like the thing we just did with Chris and Zach, I think the only check I would give him is tight end. Any other check I would just give to me. So that's how I feel about this team. I'm also really upset about the Waller deal. I sent him a text message that I was really disappointed. I spent 5 weeks trying to get Waller from him, and I sent him what I think were good deals. A couple of them he would have absolutely destroyed me on, and we spoke about that. I even saw him this weekend and said, good thing I see you last weekend. I said, it's a good thing I'm with you because we're going to do this Waller thing together in person. Never happened. He sent me one final offer yesterday. I hated it. I said, I've given you my offers. He said, and I've given you mine. We were at a big stalemate. And then between, I mean, he knows the deals that I've offered him, and I know the deals that we've discussed. I think I've offered him way better than what he ended up taking, which, you know, like, is good. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it's like, okay, well, I didn't have to give up what I gave up to get Waller. Now I could just try to get somebody else or do another deal. Like I don't have to give up as much as I thought I was going to have to give up. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, I was giving up a lot, and and you said no, and
Yeah.
now you gave up less for what I thought I was offering, and whatever. See what happens with this team. He did help out his issue, which was like Javonte Williams, I think will be good. So
Yeah.
I will give him
too.
that. Like I do think he'll be good. I still think he's in an RBCC, but I think second half of the season he'll end up taking the reins on that. So I do think he solved it. Like his team, like you said, his team does look more balanced than it did. But I don't know. To be in a PPR league, and I know like he bailed on running back for tight end, and that was the strategy. But to also be in a PPR league and you're starting wide receivers 28 and 29 and 44 on a week where you literally have nobody else on bye. Like he doesn't have a top wide receiver on bye.
Yeah.
Like this is his best, like essentially besides Justin Tucker, this is the best lineup he could possibly start.
Yeah.
And it's still wide receiver 28 and 29. So, I mean, again, Tyler Lockett does not have Russell Wilson. So that has affected him. But DK Metcalf is still wide receiver 9.
Sure.
So, and again, yes, DK Metcalf had an 84 touchdown bomb that really helped his case. But again, DK Metcalf is still wide receiver 9. Where is he on the rankings?
Bottom feeder.
All right, folks. Your official power rankings this week. Ante, Chris Cataldo, Josh, Finko, Joe, Marco Keenan, Rich, Zach, Chris, Scantleberry, DJ, and Grant. That is your week 7 power rankings. It is already week 8, but who cares? It'll be up on the feed. Best manager.
Best manager? I mean, I think it's got to be Ante.
That's the 3rd week in a row that he's been the best manager. And like I said, I'll agree to it because he has the best team and he's had the best team pretty much all year.
He drafted the best team.
Yes, he was the best. He was the best GM. Are we GMs? I think
yeah,
so. Right?
Of course we're GMs. Yeah.
We're GMs. Yeah, I mean he had the best draft. And I guess he hasn't done, and he's realized he had the best. I say it every week, you know. He's the best manager because he has the best team, obviously. And I guess he's still the best manager because he hasn't done anything to make his team worse.
Which I think he should be given credit for too, because fantasy is such a fun thing to trade and to be involved in trade and stuff like that. It's hard when you have a good team to just kind of be like, all right, like this is my squad.
Set it and forget it, yeah.
So I give him credit for that.
I don't give him that much credit for that because Ante is easily the hardest person to trade with, and he doesn't make trades at all. Like it took him 10 weeks. His team was in last place last year, and it took him 10 weeks to make one trade.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't give him that much credit for that, but I do agree that he is the best manager thus far. Worst manager?
I think it's Grant, just because of that trade. I don't know. I think he could have gotten more in return for that.
Even though Waller's been that bad. I know. Oh, whatever. I'm not going to keep harping on it. I'm disappointed. Change your name. Dark horse manager.
Dark horse manager. You know what? I'm gonna keep the train rolling here. I'm gonna go with Chris Scantleberry.
Wow. I think he might change his name after this week. Back to the dark horse dumbos.
I mean, he has like no buy problem left. He has a solid, talented team that just hasn't performed up to expectations yet. I don't see how this team stays down for long.
My dark horse would be DJ or Zach or me.
Maybe. You're in the middle of the table though. You're not that dark horse.
I'm not that. I'm a light horse. Matchups to wrap it up. Me versus Ante. Not a me versus Ante without Devontae.
Yeah,
So,
Ante.
I mean, forget about the cut. I mean, Cobb got me 16.5, which was lit, but just take that away.
Yeah, I'm not
he
counting
was
any of that.
projected he was projected 12.5. So if you're not counting that, then I'm guessing Ante is going to beat me. Yes.
Oh yeah. That's what I said.
Ante is going to beat. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'll prove you wrong. No problem. You were like 1 for 6 last time. You could be 1 for 6 again.
I was 6 for 6. Oh, week 1 I was 1 for 6. Yeah.
Grant against Vinco.
Vinco.
DJ against Joe.
DJ.
Josh against Scanterbury.
Scants.
Wow.
Actually, this was also prior to the trade that I did that. But also go Scants.
I mean, he's not starting Waller anyway.
Starting Robert.
He's starting Robert
Woods
over Emmanuel Sanders, which I think is the same kind of deal right now anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Cataldo against Rich Golly.
I chose Cataldo, and this was before Rodgers only put up 15 points, so I feel better about my chances, but I'll still stick with what I originally had.
Keenan against Zach.
I went with Keenan, but this was before last night. So
well, you have to stick with because
going into the week, I chose Keenan, but I think Zach's probably gonna end up winning this week. But like you said, I chose Keenan originally.
That's not fair. Yeah, we have to keep Keenan there. Okay, so Ante, Vinco, DJ, Chris, Scanberry, Cataldo, Keenan. A couple good guys, couple bad guys. Let's see. Well, there you have it, folks. Week 7, finally in the books. We can close the chapter. We can close the door and move on to week 8. I actually sent. If I've beaten you, if I've beaten you this year, you know what I've sent you. After I've beaten you, and I sent what I sent to Zach. So I sent what I send to people that when I beat them, I sent it to Zach yesterday, and he was like, "Dude, that was like 4 days ago." like move on, bro. I was like, "Nah, pod's not released yet. I'm still in week 7." So pod's been finished. We're on to week 8. We got a pod in like another 3 days anyway.
Yeah.
Who do I have now after you? DJ? Think so.
Yeah.
You picked 7th, you picked Zeke, and then 8th was he picked who picked 8th? No, 8th. Yeah, 8th was DJ. He picked Aaron Jones, and then 9th was Grant. He picked Kelsey, and then 10th Eckler. And then 11th was Ante, and then me. Okay, DJ, you're up next, buddy. Thanks for hopping on here. This was like a couple of days in the making.
Yeah.
We were supposed to pod yesterday. And we didn't because I was supposed to have a meeting, and we ended up talking for 2 hours anyway. So we probably could have podded, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Pod's done. Thanks for coming on today, buddy.
Of course, buddy.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.